Everyone is growing, changing, and evolving, even you, from the student nurse to the baby nurse, off the bedside and into entrepreneurship, a veteran nurse. You have evolved and you have arrived. So, welcome to the Evolve Nurse Podcast. This is your host, Keish, and I am back with another episode. So, I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed having this conversation. So today we have a nurse that I personally met in nursing school who has moved into following her purpose as a program manager at Live Safe Resources. She is a serial traveler in multiple ways, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, a nurse, a friend. I would like to welcome Nurse Nia to the Evolve Nurse Podcast.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you came because you didn't have to come, but you did.
I was nervous, but I was like, anything for you. I like seeing, Black people trying to start their businesses and trying to do things outside of the, ordinary.
Oh, thank you so much. So if you heard the podcast, but if you haven't, we like to start at the beginning. So
Okay.
did you initially want to be a nurse?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a nurse.
Okay, so you went to VSU with the intention on going to nursing school.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you got into nursing school, what was that like for you?
Um, when I got into nursing school, it was really, I guess just surreal just because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet half of the requirements that were
Girl.
required. Like nursing school back then, I feel like was so hard to get into. I don't think it's easier now, but I
Mm-hmm.
think back then, you know, it was just a lot harder.
Very.
It was very selective. So I was nervous that I wasn't going to get in the entire time. So when I actually got in, I was really excited and really happy. But it definitely was nothing like what I thought it was going to be like.
Girl, I'm telling you, like, I feel like I was talking to another one of our nursing friends, and she was like, I didn't know that I was going to get in. They gave me a call and told me I needed to go and take this test. They were
Mhm.
really pushing for people to come to nursing school at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you got in because I got to meet you. But the experience during nursing school, how was that for you?
Um, I feel like nursing school, like, you know, there's just no way to prepare. Like, it's truly something that you just kind of got to go through. And a lot of the time, I feel like we don't really know how we get through it. We just do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the main thing. It was like I never really got the hang of it. Like, it wasn't until I feel like my last year that I actually started to be like, okay, I'm actually starting to realize how they're asking me these questions. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually being able to grasp the information that they're teaching me because, for a minute, taking those type of tests, like you're just trying to learn the information and spit it out. Like you got 3 days, you got two tests, or you got 4 days, you got three tests. So it's like you're just trying to learn all this information so that you can think about it to be able to spit it back on a test. But
Mm-hmm.
not knowing to be a nurse, you got to actually remember what they're teaching you. So it wasn't until like I feel like my last year or so that I actually started to get the concept that I have to find a way to learn this information and it has to be able to actually stick. So I have to actually understand what I'm learning. So I think that was the biggest issue with
Mm-hmm.
nursing school for me was not realizing that in the beginning.
Like you were saying with the nursing test, because I've talked about this to certain people. You know, some people they had a great time in nursing school. Like the tests were never an issue for them. Some
What?
people, like, yes, the tests were never an issue from them. It was a breeze.
So what
But
was the hard part?
the hard part was balancing maybe friendships or navigating going through nursing school as a whole. But as far as the test, they were like, the tests were okay.
Oh,
But for
oh,
me, it was like learning how to conceptualize and critical think. That was the hardest part to grasp the concept of. because once you get into the nursing program, those tests are completely different
For sure.
than anything you ever imagined it would be.
For sure.
So when you when you did all that, you learned how to buckle down and focus on the test. What resources did you use in order to do that?
Um, well, I think it helped me a lot that my boyfriend at the time, I think being able to have his mom help me through
Mm-hmm.
nursing school, because she was able to pinpoint like how um the questions were being asked. So we use things like she would buy like med surge books or like fundamentals like practice books, and we would like
Mm-hmm.
run through those type of questions. But also even like stuff on Google, like I think we used Sarah Rachel, what's her name?
Sarah, Nurse Sarah.
Yeah, we
She
used,
is coming up on in every podcast I do. She is the ultimate
because
resource.
she's the girl. Like, she literally is the nurse. Like, she's the nurse. Like, that girl, I'm telling you, without her, like, I don't even know how I would have been able to do half of the learning that I did. Like, her questions, some of our questions on our test, I felt like they
Were
were pulling
hers.
from her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so yeah, definitely used her. And I can't remember what it was on YouTube, but I used YouTube a lot too. Like, my thing was more so just like getting people to further explain. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
teachers never had enough time to like teach um each person individually, like to whatever you don't understand. Like, teachers don't have the time to sit there and really break every single thing down for every student. Like, unless you're gonna go to their little office hours and talk to them
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So being able to go on Google and YouTube and stuff, that really helped me to be able to um grasp the understanding of what I'm supposed to be learning here, because you do a lot of learning on your own.
Yes. Yes, because I know that we should utilize every resource that we have, but sometimes people feel like they just simply don't have the time to go to office hours.
Mm-hmm. For
And
sure.
speaking to new students, y'all better utilize your teachers because, first of all, you're paying a lot of money for your tuition.
Yeah,
So you should definitely go to the office hours. And if you don't feel comfortable going to their office hours, make sure that you email them whenever you're feeling like you're not understanding something.
I agree.
So we made it through nursing school, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did you start in med surge?
um no, I started on a step down unit,
Mm-hmm.
like in progressive, like a PCU, like progressive
Mm-hmm.
care. So I started on like a cardiac floor, a cardiopulmonary floor.
Okay.
Hmm.
Did you go into a residency program or did you go straight into working with some orientation?
I started in a residency program. I was not ready to be a nurse when I was.
I don't think anybody is ready to be a nurse when they start because you think that you are, and then when you get on the floor, like even as an orientee, the nerves kick in. You don't feel competent. You don't feel like you're a good nurse. Then that 6 month mark kicks in, and you're like, "Oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
great. I'm doing a good
Mm-hmm.
job." And then after 6 months, you're like, "Oh no, I'm not. I can't do this."
Yes. Mm-hmm. That was me. That was me, for
How
sure.
was your residency program?
My residency program is really good. Like, I definitely felt like at the time, being a new nurse, we kind of came up, around COVID. So
Mm-hmm.
I missed out on a lot of like clinical work. Like, so a lot of it I didn't really feel ready when I first became a nurse. And even after my residency program, like the residency program, you know, I was being taught by newer nurses. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really, people don't, really understand. But like, when you are being taught by new, like, nurses, there's a lot of things they don't even know. So a lot of it
Yes.
was like we were learning together. So that was, I would say, the worst part. But they were also, because the floor was so critical, they were very knowledgeable. Like, even though they were new nurses, they knew a lot because they were being exposed to so much. So, I mean, I definitely learned a lot. And I definitely, by the time my residency program was over, I still didn't feel ready. But I
Hmm.
think it was just because I was psyching myself out
Of
because
course.
I was just a new nurse, just scared.
Of course, that's how it always is. I think that sometimes we're always in our own heads. Like
Hmm.
people see us, and when they see us working, like they see everything that we're doing, but in our heads, we're like, that might not be so good. Like I'm not as confident as I should be. And then when you talk to somebody that sees your work ethic, then you get the perception of them, and you're like, oh, maybe I am doing a good job.
Right, right.
So we do a lot to kind of, we're so self-critical as nurses because
Hmm.
anything could happen at any time. So we're always like, I got to be on my P's and Q's.
Right.
So when did you decide that you wanted to go and travel? Because I know that you had like 25 travel contracts.
um, that is funny. I've always known that I wanted to be a travel nurse.
Hmm.
That was um my main idea, like, of wanting to be a nurse. So I've always known I was going to travel. But I knew I needed a minimum of like a year of experience. Like I think like even in my residency, like I was talking to all the travelers and I'm like, when did you start? When did you start? Like, when do you feel ready?
Hmm.
Like, and they're like, Nia, you've been a nurse for 3 months. Like, just chill. And then, but as soon as I had those few nurses, like, it was a few Black women like that would come across me, and they're like, "Girl, you only need a year. You can do it. Don't psych yourself out." Like that type of stuff. I knew
Yeah,
at the moment I hit a year, that's when
you
I
was
started.
ready to go.
Hmm. I didn't care. Like I took that whole year of just soaking in information, like learning everything. Like I wanted to be exposed to everything so that I knew after I hit a year, I was gonna be ready to travel. That's exactly what I did.
And I'm so glad you did because you had the courage to get out there. Girl, it took me a while. My boss had to push me out of there. She had to say some off the wall stuff for me to throw in that 2 weeks
uh-uh.
notice and be like, I'm going to travel, girl. I was traveling pregnant and all.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, I didn't know I was pregnant when I put in my 2 weeks notice. I didn't know I was pregnant when I put in my application or when I got my interview for the travel assignment.
Wow.
As soon as I put in my 2 weeks notice, I really gave them 30 days. And within that 30 days, I was lightheaded one day. Then I was like, y'all gave me COVID.
Oh my gosh. Y'all gave me
Nobody
COVID.
told me that they were exposed to COVID, and now I have it. And I go get tested, and I don't have COVID. And so my fiance is like, you might need to take a pregnancy test. So I took four,
Were they
and
all positive?
they were all positive.
Oh, you are funny.
And I was like, I'm about to go travel. Like, I've been waiting to go and travel, but now I'm pregnant. And I went and I traveled pregnant. And then when I
Good.
dropped him, I took my months off and I went and traveled
Uh-huh.
while I wasn't pregnant.
I'm telling you that it is life changing. You go travel if you want to. Good luck
Yes,
going back to a staff position.
I'm in one now. I
Yeah.
am in a staff position now, but it's only because it works for my schedule.
Mhm.
But as soon as I get a chance to put my foot back out that door, I
You
am
gonna go
going to
back?
travel.
Oh
Yes,
wow.
or even a local assignment because I've done a few local assignments as well. Um, I'm in pediatric OR now.
Okay.
So that's a different world for me from being in the OR with adults, and I'm seeing more trauma cases because we're a trauma hospital.
Mhm.
So I haven't seen anything to make me be like, I don't want to work here no more. But it may come a time where I'm like, you know what? I don't know if this is technically for me mentally. So I might have to take a step away.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get
So,
that.
how many travel assignments did you take? You been
Um.
keeping count?
Uh. I think I did. I think I did 9.
Girl.
I think. Yeah. I think I did 9.
So, we know that nursing can often become somebody's side hustle, right?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, we start off in nursing knowing that we want to be a nurse, but sometimes we get to bedside and we're like, this might not be the best for me. We start creating our own businesses, doing our own thing, and then we recognize that nursing is just a means to an end for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, I have seen you do so many things. I'm very proud of you. Girl, I was like, she's doing this, she's doing this, she's doing this. Oh my goodness.
That's fun.
So, what businesses have you taken on as a nurse? Like that you utilize your nursing paycheck to fund?
Um, I did I had a vending machine business.
Mhm.
And that was okay, but it was a lot because I was traveling. So it's hard
Okay.
to like make sure like the vending machine, stays stocked
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So that was very difficult because I was never home.
Mhm.
Um I had an Airbnb in Atlanta. And then I had an Airbnb in Houston,
Mhm.
and those were cool too, but it's like I don't know what it is, but it's like when I choose stuff, it's like stuff that needs to be like I need to be hands on, and I
There.
don't I
Mhm.
don't know why. I just a lot of the time, like with travel money, you be like the sky is the limit, especially if you don't got no
Yeah.
kids. Like I don't care. I'm like I'll spend money on anything. Like so, I was doing that in the beginning when I first became a nurse. I think I was doing like local assignments,
Mhm.
or I did a local assignment, and I was doing I like worked as like what did I do? I like did like hookah, like I would do like hookah like locally or whatever.
Mhm.
So that was cool too, but it's just that was everything that I try is very time consuming.
Yes, and along with being like out of town, you would have to
Mhm.
figure out like some systems to be able to like navigate having somebody to be there, clean, do all the
For
things, and be
sure.
able to trust them. But you live in Atlanta, you have an Airbnb in Houston,
Mhm.
so it can be a bit like daunting. Like I might not be able to meet the people that's going to clean.
For
So
sure,
I may
yeah.
not trust them to do it the way that I think they should do it, and then here come the reviews.
For sure. Literally, for sure. Like people don't realize like people complain about the smallest things. Like it's crazy. It's literally crazy. And I'm in a whole nother state.
Yes, and the service industry is a very different industry because not only do you have to like the customer is always right type of
Mm-hmm.
thing,
For
but it's
sure.
like you can't honestly be there. So now you like, I can't be there to do these things. So who can I get to do this while I'm all the
Mm-hmm.
way here working? So would you do Airbnb again?
Um, I probably will.
Hmm.
I thought about it. I think with me like getting my new job, like I was like, let me, kind of see how this is like getting adjusted because I'm also just moving back home.
Hmm.
So like I was like, let me kind of just get adjusted at this place and then I'll consider it. I mean, because people always like ask about it. I mean, I definitely did really well on Airbnb. Like I
Hmm.
had the badges from Airbnb. So
Ooh.
like my units were always highly recommended, but it just was the timing. Like the timing was just really really tough, and but I might do it again. It's doable. I feel like the more that you have, and the more times that you do it and fail and go back and do it again, like it gets easier.
Okay. So you said you had a hookah business.
Hmm.
You love a hookah girl.
Girl, y'all do not know. Y'all don't know.
So what led you to creating that business?
Um, I think it was just like it wasn't necessarily like my business. It was just like I would go out with
Hmm.
people, like and just do hookah like with them. Like I'd help them like with their business. And that's just because like it's easy. I feel like in Atlanta it's easy for you to be like an independent contractor. Like that's
Yes.
one thing that nursing, being a travel nurse, that kind of like I don't know if it like what is it called? Like spoiled me
Hmm.
because I can work for myself. Like I know I can make money myself. And seeing money come in,
Hmm.
and you're barely like you work 3 days a week. And then you can sit there and work 3 days 1 week, and then you can have a whole week off and still get paid, and then come back and do your other 3 days. Like, it's like there's just so much time. And I just feel like it's so easy for you to work your 3 days and then have a whole nother job on the side and not
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're just dead exhausted to the world. So nursing, I mean, I don't know. I think working for myself is definitely like what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people, when they have the entrepreneurship bug, it never leaves. Like it's like
Oh, for sure.
a nagging thing. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do today, but it's gonna be something.
Yeah, I can see that. I
So
can definitely see that.
you are definitely a serial entrepreneur. I see you having multiple businesses. Being 1099 early on as a contractor will do some things to you because you look. I made a lot of money being
Mhm.
1099, and I was like, hold on. So what
Yeah.
do I do now? So as an entrepreneur and as a nurse, how did you balance the two?
Well, honestly, like I think that was definitely the tricky part because
Mm-hmm.
um I feel like, just with nursing, because even when I was in, nursing school, like I was working at a bar, I was
Mm-hmm.
working at a restaurant, like, so in nursing school. So it was like I didn't really have good time management back then, and then I still like
Mm-hmm.
would have to study and stuff. And then even with my like I've always had multiple jobs. So it's like it's really difficult for you to like have a life outside of having two jobs, like
Mm-hmm.
having a life and having two jobs. That's just kind of difficult. So I think after a while, especially with you trying to be an entrepreneur, like it can be so stressful sometimes. Like, but I tell people all the time, like I don't know how people are entrepreneurs and don't have another job,
Yeah.
because my job was funding my entrepreneurial life. Like, it was not that I'm like literally spending all my money, but like you definitely need money to be able to pay your bills. And then there
Mm-hmm.
was times where I was down bad, like, trying to fund my businesses. So I mean, it's kind of like a give and take. Like, you gotta have both. So the balance is the hardest part to me. I mean, I can deal with people and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, but I think the balance, trying to find a solid balance of being able to do both, that was tough. But it's easier as a nurse, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah, because the revolving door for us to get a job is, look, it's the
Exactly.
best thing that we could do for our careers,
Hmm.
regardless of whether nursing school was hard, because it was hard. Um, like you just have to look at where you will be, even though you may not be able to see it all the time. You have to like be like, okay, their inspiration, maybe I can do this utilizing my nursing degree, because a lot of people don't even know that they can use their nursing degree for non-bedside jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that, I always say you do not have to stay at a job that does not value you.
Hmm.
And if you can work for yourself and have a job that's going to fund that, that is beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. I'm quick to leave. Hmm. I feel
I
that.
see you. So, what has been your inspiration? Like, what has inspired you to become who you are?
mm Um, I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I think I just always wanted more for myself. Like, I don't know if there's like something like specific that I can say that like
Mm-hmm.
really inspires me. I think it's just knowing, like, being around successful women
Mm-hmm.
and seeing successful women. Like, I think that was something that I always wanted to be for other women. Like, I mean, I love how like my Instagram and stuff, like I don't follow just a bunch of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram models and stuff. Like, I follow a bunch of people that are inspiring. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
follow a bunch of, so it's just seeing those things that makes me realize like how accessible it is. Like everything that I've done, I feel like I've seen the success in it, and I'm like, oh, this everything that I do, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so hard. Maybe
Mhm.
I can do that. Like it's like every position that I got in, like I used to be like, oh, I want to be a nurse manager in the hospital, or I would be like, oh, I want to be. I remember when I was little, like I would see nurses and think they were like the best thing in the world. Like I would see
Oh
doctors.
my
Remember like when you were
gosh.
like a little nursing student or something, and you'd see the doctor and you'd be
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I'm sitting with the doctor. Like it's
Yes, you
like
didn't know what to say. Like,
you, yes, like you
how do
would
I get this S bar out?
literally, like you would get so nervous. Like it's almost like you're sitting in front of Beyonce. Like, no, babe,
Mhm.
it's just the doctor, and they're
Mhm.
only making $100,000 a year. They're making 150,000 a year. Like they're nurse practitioner. I'm sitting in front of a nurse practitioner. I'm
Mhm.
sitting in front of a physician's assistant. Like you sit in front of these people and you think they're so high. You think they're so like smart and they're so experienced. And then I'm in the room with them and I'm like, oh wait, I can do your job. I'm in when I'm in the same room
Mm.
as these people, nurse practitioners. They're talking about traveling. We're talking about all these things, and they're like, you make more than me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm making more than you, so you're not that high. Oh, well, I don't know if I want to go back to school to be a nurse practitioner. I think I'm actually going to go back for something else since I'm going to be still making more than you. Like, it's like the rooms that I've started to get in. It's like
Mhm.
what you thought was so unattainable at a certain age. As you get older, you realize you can really do anything, especially, when you've been around the people and realize that they're not as high as you think they are.
Yes, because most of the time, like you just said, when you're looking at people and they have like higher positions than you, in the hospital, you often feel like it's unattainable what they have.
Yeah.
So, because you said when you heard them say, you make more than me, it's like, oh, so regardless of whether, you may have more education than me, in that aspect, I'm able to either one, go back to school, be an MP, or
Mm-hmm.
two, figure out something else to make my life more feasible for me.
Right.
A lot of people don't know this, but some MPs actually just utilize their nursing degree and go and travel
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep.
because it's more lucrative sometimes. Like, I'm not going to say all the time because I know some MPs who fare well for themselves, but they also have like a business or they have their own clinic or they're working multiple
Mm-hmm.
jobs. So it's nothing wrong with going back and getting your NP, DNP. But if your ultimate goal is to make make a life that is everything that you ever wanted it to be,
Right.
then you have to go for and do that. And sometimes in nursing in certain states in certain hospitals, they are not going to pay you what you're worth.
For sure.
Just being 100% honest.
For sure.
So we're leading into where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
So we said that you're a program manager.
Mm-hmm.
What do you specifically do where you are?
I so I work for a nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the nonprofit there's different programs that um like serve the community in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So my program is sexual assault. So I manage nurses that do sexual assault exams
Okay.
for victims.
So was that something that you've seen yourself doing before?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
So what led you to this position?
I don't know. Like I literally think about this all the time. Like I don't
How did I
know
get
how I'm
here?
here. I don't know how I'm here. Like I one day I think I was literally my last contract was ending, and I was like, I can't keep doing like I just couldn't be in the hospital anymore. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew I couldn't be in the hospital anymore, and I knew like I could tell I was heading down that place where the nurses are, where they hate their jobs.
Burnt out.
Yes, like just burned out, just like I don't know what I want to do. I don't know, like I didn't want to be one of those nurses that, like, you know, you just complain all the time. Like, you're just sitting around your, like, I just didn't want to do that. Like, I just knew I had to get away from the hospital. So I just went and I asked my grandfather to remake my resume.
Mm-hmm.
And I just applied to just different jobs. Like, I looked at forensics. Like, I looked at um, a school nurse. Like, it got so bad. Like, I'm like, I don't even care how much I make. I just want to love what I do.
Mm.
Like, I'm more than anything, like, I'm like, I've made the money and I've been in a situation like where I'm at a hospital, and I've never had a contract that was just terrible, but I've been in contracts where I'm like, you know, the money isn't even worth it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I literally have all this money, or I have, like, you know, I'm good on money, and it's like I'm still not happy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a life I ever wanted to live. So I want my money to work for me. I don't want to work for my money.
Girl, you better
Like,
say it again.
so, like, I didn't care. So it's like, I feel like one thing that people have always said to me, in like the rooms that I was in, is like, if you go and do something that you love, you're happy to do it every single day, the
Mm-hmm.
money will come. Like, people will pay for your worth. People will do, you know, what they can to keep you, especially if they see that you're good at your job. And it's easier to be good at your job when you love what you're doing, as opposed to going to work every day dreading it just because the money is good. I just
I
couldn't do that.
I love that you said that because so many times, and I've seen this in so many of my student nurses and my new nurses coming through periop, that they feel like the older nurses are trying to push them into staying.
Yeah, for sure.
Even while being unhappy, they say things like, you know, y'all just gonna come get your education and travel, almost trying to guilt them into staying.
For sure.
But they're like older nurses, they have pensions, which means that they are only staying there because their pension was so significant.
Mm-hmm.
Now in those same systems, they no longer give you pensions.
Oh, for sure.
They give you a crappy 403b. And you don't know how much that's going to be. I know one nurse said he lost like $18,000 in
Mm.
his 403b because people don't know or understand that that money is going into the stock market, and they don't know who's managing their money. They don't know what stock is going into. They have no idea what their money is doing for them. So they end up staying way over what they're supposed to because of the naysayers, and you cannot listen to them.
I have never heard of a 403b.
So a 403b is like a 401k for a nonprofit hospital, a not-for-profit
Oh.
hospital. So like your bigger hospitals, aside from HCA, because they are for profit, you can actually get HCA stock,
Uh-huh.
and and then you can tell the difference between HCA and hospitals that are not for profit, because you'll recognize on my end as an OR nurse, I can tell you that they mark up some of the things that they use 200%. So they can come in and get some like a small procedure, and it'll cost like, say for instance, they use a staple, and that staple will be like $12. They're gonna charge you $100 for it.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So me being able to see that and see the difference between nonprofit organizations and for-profit organizations, like their stock options are different, because stock and HCA is great.
Yeah.
Would I purchase it? Morally, is I wouldn't feel okay purchasing it, but financially, they do great in like minimizing their bottom line, which
Got
is
you.
which is a story for a whole nother time. This is not a financial podcast, y'all.
Yeah, you are funny. Uh-uh.
This is not a
That
financial
was good to
podcast.
know, though. I've never heard that.
hmm But I mean, we do need to be more financially secure and understand finances a little bit more in the nursing room, because we make so much money and
For
we
sure.
become in different tax brackets. But do you like read any books or listen to any other podcasts?
I listened to Girls Gone Bible.
Mm-hmm.
I that's like the only podcast that I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't really read. I'm more so like when stuff reads to me. So I
Okay.
read the well, I listen to like a Bible app. So but that's really it. It's really just those two. And then I like to watch to listen to like just sermons and stuff like on YouTube.
Okay, so who's your favorite inspirational speaker, or who's the your favorite person like to listen to their sermons? I like to say this, and I like to ask this because sometimes people need to hear what other people are going through, and they
Mhm.
also need to see how they get out of those things. So,
Mhm.
any books that people are reading in order to better themselves, I like to let our listeners know that you can go and read this, or you can go and listen to this, because look, sometimes we just need something. We don't always have anybody to talk to.
Mhm.
So sometimes these things help people. So,
For
who
sure.
is your favorite sermon?
Um, my favorite person that I probably listen to the most is probably Sarah.
Girl, I knew you was gonna say it.
Sarah J. Sarah is crazy. Like she be speaking to the Atlanta side to me. So I
The
feel like
Atlanta.
yeah, she don't be playing. Like so I think Sarah, if I'm like but I only really recommend her for like
Mm-hmm.
women,
Mm-hmm.
like women who are trying to like pick themselves up. Like I listen
Okay.
to her if like I'm in like confused places, or
Mm-hmm.
like if I'm at a time in my life where like I might just be going through something, or like she's really good at that. Like I feel like she's really the spokesperson for women to see better and see more, like want more for yourself. Like
Mm-hmm.
and you're able to get yourself out of dark places. Like well, God is able to help you get yourself out of dark places. But I feel like, and she's just so understanding. Like I think a lot of her stuff is like focused on the fact that she was in one place and now she's in a completely different other place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when I listen to Sarah. But I think if I'm just kind of like, just wanting the word, um, I like Stephen Furtick too. I think
Okay.
Stephen Furtick is really good just for like everyday, like an everyday word. So yeah, and sometimes I just will listen to anything, like
Mm-hmm.
not anything, but like if sometimes like I like to listen to like TED Talks and stuff too. Like TED Talks are really good with like when I have that little entrepreneur side where I'm like, dang, like I want to work on something, I want to do something, like I don't know what I should do, I don't know if I should get back into it. Like TED Talk is, I think essentially like that's where I want to be. Like I want to be on
Oh,
somebody's TED Talk.
listen to Nia on your next TED Talk.
Literally though, like I love little TED Talks. Like
Mm-hmm.
Shonda Rhimes's TED Talk is really good. Um and there's one on sexual assault. Like there's some good TED Talks out there. So TED Talk is good too, just to listen to, and them little crime people. Crime Watch. I like stuff like that.
Girl,
For real, I like stuff like that. People be crazy.
you gotta watch your back in Atlanta, girl.
Good.
But we are wrapping up the end of our podcast. And I just want to tell you, I am so grateful for you coming on. And like I said in the beginning, because you didn't have to, we've been working on trying to get you on for a little while. And you didn't have to come, but you did. I'm glad that you did it while nervous and while uncomfortable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was nice. This is a really good resource for, I can tell, for like women and nurses who are interested in our field, because it's I don't know, it's so unpredictable.
Hmm.
Every nurse has a different experience on nursing school,
Yes.
so and just the nursing life period. There's just so much you can do. So everybody I feel like is doing different stuff.
Yes, and I just wanted to create this podcast because I know we didn't have many resources aside from Nurse Sarah RN on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. but she never told us what her experience was like in nursing school.
Yeah,
You
that's true.
know, we don't often see even people who look like us actually
Hmm.
talk about what their true experience was in nursing school. Because for me, it was a little bit traumatic, if I'm
Yeah.
being
Oh,
one
oh
hundred
yeah.
percent honest.
Oh yeah. You know it was for me. You know what
Mm.
we was going through.
And we talked about that on episode 1 with Danielle,
Oh, ooh.
because her situation was very unique.
Yeah, she
Um,
definitely went through a little. Is she a
yeah,
nurse now?
yeah, she is. She's actually traveling right now. So,
That's good. Good for her.
hmm
If it
with
is in
all them
God's
trying to break,
plan.
exactly, they will try to break your confidence, make you
Mm.
feel as though you're not good enough.
Ooh.
But at the end of the day, you cannot allow them to keep you from a space where you need to be,
Mm-hmm.
because
For
we need
sure.
nurses who essentially they look like us, they want to be there, and you can't allow people to deter you from that. Because when we went to certain clinicals, we didn't see anybody who looked like us. Some
Yeah.
clinicals, I didn't see one black nurse on the floor.
And when we did, it was so like such a big moment.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my
it's
gosh.
literally like
It's
it's sad.
attainable.
Yeah, that's sad. That is really sad.
But with that being said, Nia, I really appreciate you for coming over here.
For
And
sure.
that is the end of the podcast. I'm thankful for everybody. If you made it to this point, you've made it to the end of the episode. For the next episodes, you can email me your questions at theevolvednurse@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, go over to at the Evolved Nurse on Instagram. We have a Instagram account that we're building right now. And you all have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.